evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of On the Glass. As always, if you would, please like this video, please share this video. Be sure to hit the big red subscribe button down there. And if you are so inclined, please hit the bell notification so you get notified every time that we release new content here on the Glass. And I have started a podcast version of On the Glass. You can find us on all major podcast forums, Spotify, whatever the case may be. Be sure to check us out there as well. Now, it is Wednesday, and traditionally Wednesday is kind of the point where we start looking forward to the next opponent and stop looking back at the previous opponent. But I did release a recap on my podcast of the Bengals game. I did not do that here on YouTube, so that's what we're going to do today. And look, there's no way to beat around the bush on this. In my opinion, and through my eyes, the Bengals game was a failure on all fronts. In all three phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. There was no really bright spot, so to speak, to look at, in my opinion. I guess if you wanted to press a little bit and try to find that bright spot, you had the pass from Minshew to Chark in the back of the end zone where Minshew dropped an absolute dime, and Chark had the body control and the concentration to look that ball in, stay in bounds, toe tap, and get a touchdown for the Jaguars. I guess if you really wanted to press a little more than that, the Jaguars did take the lead into halftime. They took a 13-10 lead into the half. So I guess that is a good part as well. But apart from those two things, nothing is really glaring and standing out to me as a bright spot that we had against the Bengals. It is no secret, if you watch this channel for any length of time whatsoever, or if you've listened to my podcast, I am definitely not a Todd Wash fan. I'm just not. There's nothing that impresses me about Todd Wash. And going into the Bengals game, you had a prime opportunity to rack up some gaudy defensive statistics. That was the worst offensive line in football. And if they are not the worst, they are definitely in the bottom of the league as far as offensive line efficiency goes. They are terrible. Joe Burrow gets hit a lot. Joe Burrow gets sacked a lot, unless he's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, in which case he only got sacked once, and he got hit only 5 times. 5 times Burrow got hit. That's it. I've said it once, I will say it again. In order for this defensive scheme that Todd Wash likes to run to be effective, because he does not blitz, in order for this scheme to be effective, what he has to do, what he has to count on, is the front four getting pressure on the quarterback. And that has been non-existent through the first quarter of the season. It is ridiculous how bad the defensive line has been thus far in this season. I mean, Josh Allen is doing all he can. He is working his butt off, down after down after down, double team, sometimes triple team, and he's doing all that he can. He's the only one, I believe, off the top of my head I'm going here now, but I believe he is the only one with multiple sacks. The only one. And I mean, we're 4 games in. There's only 4 sacks on the season so far. And Josh Allen has 50% of the sacks. And I see people online that are wanting to bash Josh Allen, saying that maybe he was just a little overhyped last season. Wrong. He is not overhyped. He is a man out there, and he is playing phenomenal football given the circumstances. He's hindered too. And in order for this scheme to work, I will say it again. In order for this scheme to work, the front four have to get pressure on the quarterback. And that has not been happening. So now on the back end with the corners and the secondary and the safeties, you're having huge gaping holes. And I'm assuming that is just from lack of communication. If I'm a corner and I'm playing in a 15-yard radius here and a receiver's in my zone, I got the zone, but then when he's leaving, I've got to be able to communicate to the next man up that there's somebody coming into his zone. And that apparently is not happening because once again, and I think Burrow's going to be a fantastic quarterback. He's going to be a phenomenal player. He's going to have multiple Pro Bowls under his belt, and I think he's going to be great for the Bengals. But even taking that into consideration, he is still just a rookie. But he looked like an all-pro against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We weren't pressuring him. He had all day to stand back there and throw. There was, once again, gaping holes in the back end. I guess a positive for the defense, if you want to keep this reach going here, a positive for the defense is A.J. Green only had, I believe it was 3 receiving yards on the day. So their all-pro receiver, we stopped. But everybody else went off. I mean, Mixon, who is a decent running back, don't get me wrong, but Mixon was out there just slashing our defense. And his yards after contact were high. And then when he wasn't running the football, he was coming out of the backfield and catching the football in space. And it was just an all-around, that was a lackluster defensive performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm trying to keep it as PG as possible because that is not, lackluster is not what I wanted to call this defense and hasn't been all season. But the defense is a glaring issue for this franchise right now. And it's becoming evident that the Calais Campbell trade was stupid. I don't understand why they traded Calais Campbell. Because at least with Campbell in there, Josh Allen would have had some help. But right now, it's Josh Allen against an entire offensive line, basically. Taven Bryan ain't no good, and nobody else in the front four is even worth mentioning right now, guys. They're just not. And then you got Campbell, who wanted to be in Jacksonville, who loved Jacksonville, who was not a locker room cancer and by any stretch of the imagination, who was a true-born leader out on that field and in that locker room. And they let him go for pennies to Baltimore. And his absence is definitely felt in this defensive line. I don't know if we'd be exceptionally better with Campbell out there still, but I know they'd be showing a lot more heart and a lot more passion for the game. And if Campbell was out there ripping some heads, if things weren't going right. So the Campbell trade is becoming even more interesting as the season goes on. Switching gears, we're going to talk a little bit about coaching a little bit. 4th and 2 in the opponent red zone. 4th and 2. Your offense has shown to be more than capable of moving up and down the field against the Bengals offense to that point. Or defense, to that point. 4th and 2. And Doug Marrone and the special teams coordinator decides to trot out a guy who a week and a half ago was probably selling car insurance somewhere. The Jaguars are on their fourth kicker. The fourth kicker in the fourth week of the season. And this guy apparently don't even know how to wear a helmet because his chin strap was sitting up here like this. It was ridiculous looking. 4th and 2. Offense has been moving the football. James Robinson, up until that point, had been playing a pretty good football game. Gardner Minshew been playing some pretty good football. 4th and 2. 4th and a short 2, mind you. On your fourth kicker. An unknown kicker. And Doug Marrone trots him out. And he misses the field goal. Shocker. He was selling insurance a week and a half ago. And then you trot him out in an NFL game and have him kick a field goal. On 4th and 2, when you could have got it. At least have the guts to go for it there. But no, he trots out an unknown, unproven kicker who shanked a field goal. That's on you, Doug. That should not have happened. Anybody with this much football knowledge knows that you don't kick it in that situation. 4th and a short 2 with an unknown kicker who that you brought in late in the week, who nobody had heard of until you trotted him out onto the field in a game and let him miss the field goal. That was poor decision making. And that falls squarely on you, coach. That was just bad. Bad decision making. I mean, hell, if it was me and I was a decision maker in this franchise, you know what I would have done? I would have played without a kicker. I'm pretty sure Cook could have handled kickoff duties. And I just would have went for it. On any 4th down play when you're in field goal range, I would have went for it. And then I would have went for 2 in point after attempts. I would have went for 2. I would have played without a kicker. 4 kickers in 4 weeks. And that's an overstatement. It's 4 kickers in 2 weeks. I would have played without a kicker. I would have had me somebody else dress. Maybe a defensive player, because good Lord knows we need those right now. And I just wouldn't have played a kicker. Sorry, that's just me. I wouldn't have done it. And then if you want to move to the offensive side of the football, and this, I'm going to try to keep my cool about, guards. I'm going to try my best to keep my cool about this. But after this game, yet again, everybody wanted to get on to Facebook and the internet and start talking crap about our quarterback and Gardner Minshew. Trying to lay this loss on him. Breaking news here. Breaking news. Gardner Minshew don't tackle anybody. Gardner Minshew don't cover receivers that are running wide open on the field. Gardner Minshew don't do that. Gardner Minshew does not provide help over the top when Trey Herndon gets beat every other damn play. Gardner Minshew does not play safety. Gardner Minshew does not kick the the football. I don't understand all the hate for Gardner Minshew. Him, James Robinson, DJ Chark, Keelan Cole to an extent, Chenault, Josh Allen, and sometimes CJ Henderson are the bright spots of this team right now. And every time that we take an L, and every time that our defense fails to show up the last 2 weeks, there are people getting online and bashing the quarterback, who right now is a top, I think, 8 quarterback statistically in the league. Please stop with all this Minshew hate. Stop it. It's unnecessary and it's unwarranted. The man's doing all he can. And you people that bash him are talking about Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence? Really? I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. It is October the 7th, 2020. It is months before the NFL draft. It is even longer until the next NFL season. But I am going to tell you this right now. Trevor Lawrence will be 5 and out in the NFL. He is not going to be a high caliber NFL quarterback. He's not going to be that. I watched him play against the University of Louisville last year. A University of Louisville team who defensively was god-awful. God-awful. Probably worse than this Jacksonville Jaguar defense. And Trevor Lawrence looked like crap against that defense. I think he threw for 4 interceptions against a weak Louisville secondary. He's played one great defense, really, and that was LSU last year. And guess what? They lost, and he didn't look good. This tanking for Trevor nonsense has got to stop. Because regardless of how bad the Jaguars are, we have a quarterback, and we have a quarterback moving forward. I think you people forget that this is Minshew's second season. He only played half the year last year. And he is a good NFL quarterback and will be for the foreseeable future. Look at that pass to DJ Chark in the back of the end zone as an example. A lot of quarterbacks in this league cannot make that throw. It was over a defender. He put it where only Chark could get it, and Chark was either going to get it or it was going to go out of bounds. He dropped it right over a defender, right in the corner of the end zone, and it was a beautiful, beautiful pass. Now, that being said, something that I have noticed about Gardner Minshew. If the pressure is coming off the ends, either on his blind side or in front of him, he's phenomenal. He can escape that. He can spin out of that. He can make something happen out of nothing. However, if the pressure is coming up the middle or slightly off the middle, Gardner Minshew struggles with pressure straight up the gut. The last drive against the Titans, the pressure came from up the middle, and he threw an interception. Against the Bengals, there was pressure coming up the middle. He threw another interception. Go back and watch some games. If the pressure is coming up the middle, he rushes, he falls out of throws, and he is just not good with a blitz coming straight down the pike at him. Go back and watch. You'll see. Agree with me, disagree with me, whatever the case may be, hit the comments below. I respond to every comment. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Check us out on all your podcast platforms. Check out my sponsors, shadyrays.com, if you're in the market for some new sunglasses. If you're in the market for some new Jaguars gear, be sure to check out my friends over at Sportsmania in Jacksonville Beach or online, sportsmaniausa.com. And if you're in the market for some new baby supplies, be sure to go to Jow Baby. That's JEAbaby.com. Quality, affordable baby supplies for you. And for now, that's it. We'll be back either on the podcast or on here to preview the Texans. And until next time, Duval.